Just before this episode, here's how you can get more from Never a Truer Word. If you're listening to this podcast on Spotify, you can subscribe to this channel to get early access to the weekly analysis episodes, video episodes so you can see the statements as I analyse them, and exclusive content too. And if you're here on YouTube, then become a member of the channel to get early access to everything and exclusive content not available anywhere else. Hello and welcome to Never a Truer Word, where we look at the words that people choose to use to see if they're telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And you can stop asking for it now because we're going to do Jay-Z's statement. A statement Jay-Z released on the back of receiving a lawsuit alleging that he did something pretty horrible with Puff Daddy back in the year 2000. If you're new here, what I do is look at the words people use. So we're going to take Jay-Z's statement. I'm going to look at it paragraph by paragraph, sentence by sentence, word by word, looking at why did he choose those words? What is going on in his head? Why is he saying these things? To try and get to what is really going on with this story. It's very similar to what I did with Puff Daddy. I looked at some apologies, some interviews that he gave to work out what kind of person he is. You can see links to those in this show description if you're interested in Puff Daddy. So let's have a look at the statement that Jay-Z issued on the back of receiving that lawsuit. And it starts, "My lawyer received a blackmail attempt called a demand letter from a lawyer named Tony Busby. What he had calculated was the nature of these allegations and the public scrutiny would make me want to settle. No, sir, it had the opposite effect. It made me want to expose you for the fraud you are in a very public fashion. So no, I will not give you one red penny. These allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Whomever would commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away. Would you not agree? These alleged victims would deserve real justice if that were the case. This lawyer, who I have done a bit of research on, seems to have a pattern of these type of theatrics. I have no idea how you have come to be such a deplorable human, Mr. Busby, but I promise you, I have seen your kind many times over. I'm more than prepared to deal with your type. You claim to be a Marine. Marines are known for their valor. You have neither honor nor dignity. My only heartbreak is for my family. My wife and I will have to sit our children down, one of whom is at the age where her friends will surely see the press and ask questions about the nature of these claims and explain the cruelty and greed of people. I mourn yet another loss of innocence. Children should not have to endure such at their young age. It is unfair to have to try to understand inexplicable degrees of malice meant to destroy families and human spirit. My heart goes out to the true victims in the world who have to watch how their life story is dressed in costume for profitability by this ambulance chaser in a cheap suit. You have made the terrible error in judgment thinking that all celebrities are the same. I'm not from your world. I'm a young man who made it out of the project of Brooklyn. We don't play these types of games. We have very strict codes and honour. We protect children. You seem to exploit people for personal gain. Only your network of conspiracy theorists, fake physics, will believe the idiotic claims you have levied against me that, if not for the seriousness surrounding harm to kids, would be laughable." Now, that was a statement that Jay-Z issued. The first thing I noticed when I looked at all of that is there is no denial. Not once does he deny the allegation that is made in the lawsuit in all that he said there. Now, why is that? Why did he not deny it? Why did he not take it head on and say, I deny these allegations. This did not happen. He doesn't do that. He doesn't even say there are lies in the lawsuit. We'll break it down and we'll see there that he never once says in this lawsuit and this allegation or anything contained in it is a lie. And he seems to have a lot of anger towards the lawyer, not the victim. Now, the victim is the one alleging that he's done something wrong. Why is that? Is he genuinely angry with the lawyer? It could be. Or is he angry with the alleged victim, the person making the claim? And is what's going on that he realizes he's getting angry? And some of the things that we'll see saying them towards the victim wouldn't be a good look. So the lawyer is kind of a proxy for the victim here. He's not really angry with the lawyer. He's angry with the alleged victim. And that is what the anger is. But he's having to use the lawyer as a proxy for that anger. So let's go. I'll share my notes with you on this statement. So first of all, who is this statement made to? Because at some points he talks towards the lawyer. We'll see as we go on that he talks directly towards the lawyer. However, he could just talk directly to the lawyer. He could reply back to the lawsuit. He could have his lawyer fire off something to the lawyer. So the audience that Jay-Z intends this statement for is us. So when he's personally putting down the lawyer, this is not for the lawyer's own good. This is for our own good. It's us that he wants to convince that this lawyer is no good. And he starts the statement with, my lawyer. My lawyer received a blackmail attempt. So it wasn't Jay-Z who received the blackmail attempt. It was his lawyer. Is that an attempt to distance himself from all of this? So I'm over here. I'm just living my life. And it was my lawyer that got it. It doesn't affect me that much. It's my lawyer that got it, not me. I think this is distance creating from Jay-Z here. He says that he received a blackmail attempt. However, he doesn't actually say or share how it was a blackmail attempt. A blackmail attempt in black and white would be, you give us money and we'll shut up and this will all go away. But he doesn't say that is the contents of this demand letter that he talks about. He just labels it a blackmail attempt. He says it's a blackmail attempt called a demand letter from a lawyer. And he puts lawyer in quotes there as if to say, not a real lawyer, just a so-called lawyer. The first time he started to put this person down, not because he wants to put the person down to his face, but because he wants us to think less of the lawyer. He's probably using his status there to go, I'm Jay-Z, I'm very famous, I'm thought of as very authentic, everyone knows me, everyone knows what I stand for, and when I say this guy is a lawyer, I'm going to diminish his status slightly. And this lawyer is named Tony Busby. What he calculated was the nature of these allegations and the public scrutiny would make me want to settle. And he's using the word me there. So although it was the lawyer that got the letter and he wants to give it that distance by saying it was his lawyer that got this letter, even though the contents of the letter was all about you, Jay-Z, it was. And we can see that there because he uses the word me there. So he is admitting that this is personal. He then goes, no, sir, it had the opposite effect. It made me want to expose you for the fraud you are in a very public fashion. So again, he's admitting out loud, this is me talking to the lawyer, but talking to the public about the lawyer and wanting to expose you for the fraud you are. However, we've been through the entire statement and not once does he say what type of fraud this lawyer is committing. He doesn't say what is fraudulent about this lawyer or any fraudulent claims that have been made by this lawyer. He's just sticking a big, bold statement out there saying this lawyer is a fraud, but he has offered nothing, not one thing to back that up. So already, 5 lines into this statement, I'm going, yeah, I'm not really buying this. This is theatrics on his part, on Jay-Z's part. He's throwing out statements there like it's a blackmail attempt and I want to say what a fraud you are, but he's not backing that up with anything. He says, so I will not give you one red penny. Now, lots of people have zoned in on this. Now, first of all, I'll look at the personalness of it there. I will not give you, it's not my lawyer won't give you. So despite starting by trying to create this distance from the whole thing, Jay-Z's saying how personal it is. I will not give you one red penny. One red penny is a kind of old-fashioned phrase for something that is worthless. I will not give you one red penny. Now, what's going on there? Is he saying out loud, I'm not going to pay anything here? Well, he could be, but let's look at what could be happening here. So if this is a compensation claim, if this is a claim for damages, then it's not the lawyer, it's not Tony Busby who would be getting the money there. It would be the alleged victim. So is he just being kind of cute here and going, I ain't giving this guy money, but my mind is open that I might have to give this woman money? Could be. Or it could be just in his head that this is true, and this will always be true as long as he does not pay one cent. If he pays $3 million, then he has not paid one red penny. He has paid $3 million, and to the victim, not to the lawyer. Or it could be him being steadfast and saying, I am not going to pay any money for this. The statement continues, these allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint. Now, again, he's talking to the lawyer, but is this lawyer a proxy for the victim? Well, this could be a proxy for the victim because it's not technically the lawyer who would file a criminal complaint. It would be the alleged victim who would file the criminal complaint. He then goes on to say, not a civil one, Whomever would commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away. Would you not agree? Now, what have we got there? We've got him downplaying what he has been accused of. He doesn't say out loud what it is that he's been accused of. He just downplays it to such a crime against a minor. So he is being very careful there not to get the allegation, not to give the allegation at least any more air. But it's something we see a lot in criminals who will downplay things. I didn't attack a woman. It's like I didn't do it, or I would never do such a crime rather than a violent assault. Is that what is going on there with Jay-Z? None of this is personal. He doesn't make it about him. He doesn't say, I implore you to file a criminal complaint against me. It's just a criminal complaint. Whomever would commit such a crime, not if I have committed such a crime. I should be locked away. Would you not agree? So what we've got going on there is, although this sounds, and a lot of people have said this is the biggest, most serious part of what Jay-Z is saying. Jay-Z is saying, hey, if this happened, if you believe this happened, then file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Let's go to court. Let's go to criminal court and let's look at that there, which is one viewpoint. I understand that viewpoint, but this looks like he is taunting the victim slightly, because with allegations like these, women are very often frightened to go to court, where they will find their lives poured over, where they will find, especially in celebrity cases, that expensive lawyers will put a lot of effort into digging into the private life, digging into past lives, framing things very differently. And this appears to me to be Jay-Z taunting the victim. Why didn't you do this criminally? I know it's going to be really hard for you to do it. That's what I feel is going on here. He says these alleged victims would deserve real justice if that was the case. So again, we're into this area of the non-denial, that he is not denying anything. Instead, he's talking about victims deserving justice, rather than, you won't take it to a criminal court because it did not happen. Yeah, he's not saying any of that at all. He's not being very direct. He's not taking this head on. He's talking in concepts about whomever would commit such a crime. Alleged victims would deserve real justice, but he's not doing any of that at all. Also, by the way, he talks about alleged victims in the plural. Now, as far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments if you can, as far as I know, there is one alleged victim in this lawsuit, not victims plural, but for some reason in his head, he has used victims plural. He goes on to say, this lawyer, who I've done a bit of research on, and by the way, the lawyer is no longer a lawyer, so this is dropped as well. He's committed very early on to trying to put this guy down and calling him a lawyer in inverted commas, but now he is a real lawyer, because he is this lawyer, who I have done a bit of research on, seems to have a pattern of these type of theatrics. Now, seems is not solid. If he had a pattern of this type of theatrics, if Jay-Z knew this, then we would expect to hear him say, this lawyer has a pattern of these type of theatrics. But no, he just seems to. It's not as solid as saying he has, just seems to. Again, he's throwing out all this stuff, nothing to back it up. Again, it's Jay-Z that's doing the theatrics here. It is not, as far as I can see, the lawyer that is doing any theatrics. Tony Busby is not doing any theatrics in this statement anyway, because it's Jay-Z's statement. Jay-Z continues, I have no idea how you have come to be such a deplorable human, Mr. Busby, but I promise you I have seen your kind many times over. Kind of threatening language again there. I promise you I've seen this many times over. I'm more than prepared to deal with your type. Now, you can either be prepared or unprepared, yeah? But he's more than prepared. What is that more? Again, it's a little bit threatening, isn't it? I'm more than prepared to deal with your type. And by the way, don't forget, some of this, I think, is anger towards the victim and not towards the lawyer. So this is threatening language towards the alleged victim. You claim to be a Marine. Marines are known for their valor. You have neither honor nor dignity. Again, who is he talking to there? Is he talking to Tony or the alleged victim? He then goes on to say, my only heartbreak is for my family. So this is Jay-Z now talking about himself being a victim and his family being the victim here. So he's trying to reframe this, not as some allegations that are made about me that I'm not denying for some reason, and I'm not saying are lies. Now I'm saying these allegations have been made about me and my family is the victim. He says, my wife and I will have to sit our children down, one of whom is at the age where her friends will surely see the press. Now, This then gets into, it's overly convincing. If only one of them is at risk of this thing from the friends seeing the press, then why are you going to have to sit all of your children down? Well, why? I don't know. Also, it's kind of strange wording here because one of them is at the age where her friends will surely see the press and ask questions about the nature of those claims. Well, if the children are at the same age, why is your daughter, why don't you fear your daughter seeing the press and asking the questions herself? Because you want to tell us that the daughter, you want to infer bullying. You want to infer that your daughter is going to be suffering from her friends' bullying, asking her questions. I think that is what is going on there. We've got a bit of vagueness again because it's she's at the age where her friends will surely see the press. He's not certain. He's trying to make us certain. They'll surely see the press and ask questions about the natures of those claims, and we will have to explain the cruelty and greed of people. Not exactly what is going on here. So once again, he's not saying the cruelty and greed of the person making the allegations. He's saying the cruelty and the greed of people in general. So once again, he's got a chance and an opportunity in what he's saying and what he's writing to talk about the allegation and poo-poo it, to say this is nothing, to say that the person coming forward is talking absolute rubbish. They're making all of this up. And instead, he goes wide. He goes wide in general and talks about the cruelty and greed of people. I mourn yet another loss of innocence. Yet another means there's been more than one. And if he's talking about his daughter here losing her innocence because of these allegations, what other innocence was lost that he is talking about? I'm really interested in that. He then says children should not have to endure such at their young age. It is unfair to try to understand inexplicable degrees of malice meant to destroy families and human spirit. You'll notice there, once more, he's just given up on his family. He's not talking about his daughter anymore. It's not my child should not have to endure so much at a young age. It's just children in general. It is a statement that could be true, but it's not about his family. So while he's wanting to say, we're the victims here, I'm the victim here, my child is the victim here, he doesn't have authentic words to say that. So instead he just goes wide and he starts talking about children in general. It's something that's true, but it's, it's just not really relevant here, especially when he's trying to build his victim status. He's just talking about children in general. He says, my heart and support goes out to the true victims in the world. My heart and support goes out to the true victims in the world. Do you remember earlier he said, my only heartbreak is for my family? But now he seems to have more sympathy or empathy or something like that, because now it's going out to the true victims in the world. So, don't believe the victimhood status bit, because that's where he said my only heartbreak is the victimhood thing that's going on here. But now his heart and support goes out to the true victims in the world who have had to watch how their life story is dressed in costume for profitability by this ambulance chaser in a cheap suit. Let's break that down. So true victims in the world. So he's starting to talk about true victims. So that is people who are really, truly the victims, who have to watch how their life story, so a life story again is a true thing, it's your biography, it's what has happened in their life, is dressed in costume for profitability by this ambulance chaser in a cheap suit. Now, dressed in costume doesn't make something not true. It just, I may put a costume on, I'm still me, and still my life story. So what does he mean by dressed in costume? And cheap suit comes into it as well. He's making two metaphors there regarding how someone is dressed. I've heard people say maybe he was talking about the way the victim was dressed on the night, or the way he was dressed on the night, or the way someone else was dressed on the night. I don't know. But for some reason, he's gone there and used dressed in costume and talked about the ambulance chaser in a cheap suit. But this is about the true victims. So he's saying the true victims might be dressed in costume, but it doesn't make them untrue by this ambulance chaser. So that is Tony Busby, the lawyer that he's talking about, in a cheap suit. And he finishes, you have made a terrible error in judgment thinking that all celebrities are the same. So you, Tony Busby, so he's addressing him now, but this is really for all of us, because he could just talk to him directly and say this. You have made a terrible error in judgment thinking that all celebrities are the same. Once more, he doesn't bring it back to himself. He doesn't say by thinking that I am like all celebrities. He doesn't say that at all. He just talks in this wide, general term again. You made an error in thinking all celebrities are the same. Well, of course, all celebrities are not the same, but Jay-Z, you haven't brought yourself into this. When he does bring himself into it, it is, again, it's a little bit threatening. I'm not from your world. Yeah, I'm a young man who made it out of the projects of Brooklyn. Again, is that threatening there? By the way, you're 55. Is that a young man? Don't know. Who made it out of the projects of Brooklyn. This is a resume statement. So this is, I started in the projects of Brooklyn and look at me now. I'm like one of the most famous people in the world, very famous for my craft, very famous wife, a lot of power behind me. Look how good I have done. Could someone who has done all that good, who's done that well for themselves, could they really, really be guilty of the allegations that are confronting me? It's a resume statement. It means nothing. Whether someone got themselves out of the projects in Brooklyn or not has no relevance at all to allegations that are named after that are laid at them. He then stops talking about himself. He says, we don't play these types of games. We have very strict codes and honor. We protect children. So he's not talking about himself. He's joining himself with other people. Again, is this a bit threatening? It's me and the boys will come and get you. Me and someone will come and get you because the people that I grew up with, we have very strict codes, Tony, and you are not living up to them. But anyway, he's not saying exactly, I don't play these types of games. I have strict codes and honor. It's just this big group of people, we. He said, you seem to exploit people for personal gain. Again, we've got this word, seem. So it's not definite. He's not alleging, or he's not saying straight out, you, Tony Busby, you exploit people for personal gain. He's not saying that. He's saying you seem to. So he just doesn't have strong words to back up this way he's trying to tarnish the reputation of this lawyer. It's very weak wording that he uses. He then talks about idiotic claims. Again, it's not a denial. Idiotic does not mean false. In fact, an idiotic claim could mean a claim that you're crazy to make, or you shouldn't want to take this on because, you don't know what will happen to you at the end of it. But idiotic does not mean the claims are not true. So why is he doing that? Like, why is he not saying false claims? Why is he saying idiotic claims? You have levied against me. And this again is, he started off with this distance that his lawyer got the letter, but it's very, very personal to Jay-Z. So, after all of that, what are my conclusions? Well, the biggest one for me is still there. There is no denial whatsoever in here. No denial there. Seems to be implicit threats there towards, is it towards the lawyer? Or is it towards the victim? But it's very, very menacing in its tone and underlying threats, I think, in the words that are there. And he's claiming victimhood. Rather than denying, rather than saying these are all lies, what he's coming out there is saying, my children are the ones that suffer here. Now, why is he taking that tack and why is he not taking the other tack? And that is what I've got on Jay-Z's statement. Listen, neveratruerword.com is the website. There you will find a whole load more videos and podcasts, including ones looking at the Puff Daddy story. You'll also find a book called The 8 Words That Liars Use on neveratruerword.com. I can tell you in that statement, Jay-Z used 3 of the 8 words that liars use. If you want to find out the other 5, or you want to find out which 3 Jay-Z went to, then neveratruerword.com. And we'll see you soon for something new from Never a Truer Word.